Hi, my name's David Bennett. I'm a pedagogy coach at Victor Harbour High School and one of the APs. Unfortunately, I can't make it today to the Daymap session. One of our long-term serving teachers passed away yesterday, and unfortunately, I think I need to be there on site with our other leaders to support our students and staff. Anyway, I'd like to go through this video and just talk about what we've done in terms of our continuous reporting at Victor Harbour High School. So hopefully you'll find this useful. Obviously in 2014 we did an assessment and reporting review, and some of the feedback we got from our parents and students was the information that we were providing them wasn't really all that useful. Certainly taking a lot of time. And obviously we were doing printed reports, so the process of getting that out and distributing that to our parents and student body was using a lot of manpower and a lot of resources. So what we decided after our 2014 review was to look at doing progress checks every 5 weeks. So on that particular progress check would be talking about their students' behaviour, their responsibility for learning and progress. The progress was judged at satisfactory achievement above and below satisfactory achievement, and for some of our students we would have judged them at no achievement as well. So also part of the progress is at the end of each semester we would do a report in terms of a very traditional report where we do an A to E grading scale. So that happens at the end of the semester, and then twice a year, so at the end of term 1 and end of term 3, we have student-led roundtables where students talk to their parents and their mentoring teacher regarding their progress throughout the actual term. So this is related around goals and how they're going in each of their particular subjects, and we've found that this is a really useful process in terms of letting students to actually make changes about how they're actually going at school rather than being told. The students have to reflect on their learning and how they're going to improve how they're going at school. Certainly we found that that's actually much more useful than the traditional student-teacher parent interviews that would happen once a year. Anyway, I just want to show you a sample report for our students. So as you can see, we've got behaviour, responsibility for learning and progress. We also have, for the 5-week period, we will have I'll just go back there, we have the number of lessons attended, lessons absent. As you can see we have, and I'll talk about the bottom screen there, what you can see there on the reports. Our middle school report looks very similar to the senior school report. And that basically, obviously they do a few more subjects, so that's probably the main thing there. The Year 12s, at the end of every term, they actually get written comments, so staff can write up to about 400 characters for every one of their subjects. So we do that, so mid-term they will get a progress check. At the end of every term they actually get a full written report for our Year 12s. So looking at what happens for the teacher process, well obviously they will have these assessment items generated by myself or the data manager, so they will find their reports there. It takes them about 5 minutes per class maximum to go through and do that process, and we're using teacher judgment to make most of those sort of judgments about where students are at. The sub-school leaders then would check the progress checks. Alright, so I basically would generate a master copy for all of them to go through and check that they actually work, and they've got all the information on there, and no teachers have left off any of the reports, so that might take them around the 1 to 2 hour mark maximum. And then the data manager will publish those year level batches, and probably the process to do that now, that would be running in the background. So it would take maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and while they're doing that in the background you can actually do other things, so it's not an onerous task. The great thing about doing this and not sending home reports at the end of every term is we can publish them and they can instantly be seen by teachers, students and parents. Right, so in Daymap, the batching of reports is fantastic. So we do them via year levels, and we find that that's actually works really well. So going to looking at how we use the reports. So we have attendance, achievement, behaviour, and obviously it's colour coded in terms of the traffic lights there. So obviously students are aiming to be in the green for their attendance, which is 95% or better. They need to get a GPA of 3.5 or more. That would roughly equate to getting a C standard for most subjects. Our GPA is calculated out of 6, and that works either if they're doing a satisfactory, above satisfactory, or an A to E grading scale. It still works out of 6. And then obviously timeouts, if students are timed out of class, then they automatically would go to the amber bit, and obviously if they get more than 2 timeouts, then they would be suspended from school, and then they'd be into the red sector. The great thing about this progress check, it's every 5 weeks, so you can talk to students about, obviously didn't work for that 5 weeks, but the next 5 weeks you've got a goal to try and improve either your attendance, your achievement or your behaviour, and get yourself into the green section. Now we do link some things like access to extracurricular activities. So for a student to be involved in knockout sport, they would need to be either in the green or the yellow for that. So it's a very, very minimal standard for that. For students to have a lunch pass when they're 16 at Victor Harbour High School, then they have to be in the green, and they get allocated every 5 weeks. So, we do link these things to achievement. Now, the great thing about these particular triangles is we can look at them in terms of a mentoring class, we can look at them in terms of a sub-school and how they're actually going, and then mentoring teachers can talk to students individually about how they're going in terms of these standards. So we certainly find that students have adopted this particular terminology, and our staff are really positive about using this sort of language with our students. So the main thing is we're using it to try and show improvement for students in terms of what they're doing. So that's essentially what I really wanted to go through, and unfortunately I can't answer any questions. One of the key things, the next step for us is what Daymap are doing, which is looking at indicators, and Scott might be able to talk about that in a bit of detail, but presently we're pulling those data sets out of Daymap, and it doesn't take super long to do that, but with the new indicators, that particular data will appear automatically for students. So it will colour code, it will provide their attendance rate, it will colour code in terms of the traffic lights for the GPA, and it certainly will do the same thing for their timeouts. If we record their timeouts as notes, it can actually do an addition of that. So, and if a student has obviously notes there, we'll actually give them an allocation of where they should sit in terms of the behaviour stuff there. Anyway, hopefully this is useful. If you want to get any extra information, I'm more than happy to field phone calls from people. So, or you can send me an email. I'm happy to talk to people regarding what we're doing at Victor Harbour High School. So I'm sorry I can't be there, but I'm sure you understand why.